Remember that Toyota Previa All-Trac that I had a couple years ago that was kind of broken and I didn't do anything to fix it? Well, it's back and it's better than ever. Let's find out what happened to it. How's it going?
Found some stuff.
You found some stuff under my Land Cruiser?
I found, yeah.
Well, while you're here, do you want to talk a little bit about your Previa All-Trac?
Sure, let me get in a more comfortable position.
Okay. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your car?
All right, well, I'm Serge, kind of self-proclaimed Toyota enthusiast slash psycho. I make it a point to basically get any kind of Toyota that is not well loved by reliability or longevity. Basically, like the rarest Toyotas that didn't make it in this world are the ones that are in my garage. So I couldn't pass up an opportunity to have an All-Trac all on my own. Ethan lovingly purchased this and curated this for me. So this is an opportunity for me to kind of make it an off-road, kind of go anywhere on gravel type of vehicle, potentially maybe put some like camping gear in there.
So I had this Previa All-Trac. I bought it at an auction, sight unseen, for next to nothing. And I drove it around for about a year and did literally nothing to it. But you're actually a little bit more mechanically talented than I am.
I wore this.
You wore that, exactly. So that says something. So your plan was to basically take this off my hands and actually turn it into something that was pretty damn cool. Do you remember, like, obviously you're gonna remember what kind of condition it was in when you got it. It was like, it wasn't terrible.
The car was in good shape for the years and the mileage. Yeah. So especially since you were completely honest with telling me what was going on and what things.
Odometer
jug of water.
Yeah, I handed you a jug of water.
You gave me a jug of water and you're like, you might need this. And I'm like, well, it is it's thirsty Friday. He's like, no, it's for the car. So basically, yeah, you were, full disclosure, you gave me the whole skinny on, and I watched the video.
Sure.
So I knew what I was getting into. You're too kind when you're saying that I was out to make it cool or cooler. I wanted it to be, if it was sold today, and people got their chance to have an all-wheel drive, reliable Toyota mid-engine, whatever, and they had an opportunity to like put it on gravel tires and a little bit of a lift, like how would they do it? Because from the very early days of the internet, there were people that were like passionate about going off the grid in these things. Because let's face it, I mean, it's like a spaceship. It looks like it should conquer Mars. I mean,
but it does kind of look like it might be a fragile, like a Fabergé egg or something. Yeah. But let's actually walk around.
Don't watch the crash test of this.
No,
not a good thing.
Your legs are the crumple zone. So anyway, let's do a quick walk around. I mean, we should just look right here in the front because we've got this. Is this like a period correct bra? I mean, it looks period correct.
It's not.
I mean, can you even buy bras for cars anymore?
This is the last one that Rock Auto had in their stock.
Rock Auto had it?
This is Rock Auto.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
It was discounted. They were like, please take this. Nobody wants this last item remaining. I had to like use a steamer to get all the creases out because it was in the box for so long. Then when I took it out, it was just kind of like, had all these jagged lines.
Oh,
so I used like a garment steamer to just kind of soften it up. And they do recommend that you put it on like in a hot day because that does
help
make
stretch it. Yeah,
exactly.
So, and the other thing is, you might remember from my previous video that somebody had put the Toyota emblem on off center, so that kind of hides the fact that was like that.
So, true story, Ethan texted me and asked, did I actually do anything about the badge? And this was about 5 months after I purchased the vehicle. And I was like, oh, it's off center? So I took the badge off. And also it was clear coat peeling all over the front.
So instead of painting it, just protect that failing clear coat with a Le Bras.
To be honest, you know, if you are in the market for a Brassiere type device for your vehicle, I would say Le Bras is not bad. Listen, there's a lot of folks on the internet and people at car shows that tell you never put a bra in your car. It will destroy the clear coat. Hey, guess what? This has no clear coat.
Yes.
Also, one last thing about the bra. When I put this thing on, some kid at a grocery store said, that looks like Free Willy. So, success?
Yes. You got a story about this mirror right here. What's going on with this mirror?
It was really wobbly.
Yes, it was extremely wobbly.
I think it was mentioned. You mentioned that.
I mentioned all of the flaws of
None of this will be new to you. In my experience with doing Toyota-like mirrors, I was like, well, it's just easier to get a new mirror at the junkyard.
Yeah.
There's tons of Previas still out there, which, by the way, big top tip. If you're thinking about getting a project car and you don't know exactly, like you've settled maybe on like a brand or maybe like a period or whatever, go to your local junkyard and see what you can get parts for.
Sure.
That will give you at least a rough estimate as to whether or not you're going to be hosed when it comes to like big ticket items or small ones like a mirror.
Yep.
So for example, at a local pickup part, the mirror was $12.
Okay.
And it's a fully operational, whatever, electronic mirror. So when it came time to replace it, this is the replaced mirror.
Yeah.
And when I took the old mirror off, I noticed that underneath there are holes where you can just remove the mirror,
Okay.
adjust the little clip,
And then put it back in?
pop it back in.
So it turns out you didn't need to buy...
Oh, I tore apart the whole panel just to make sure that I got this off correctly and that the wiring was right. But it was like an hour project for 4 minutes. Like,
Yeah, oh, there's the little hole, okay.
the Previa does that to you.
Yes, so the second time you have to replace this mirror, you'll know. Okay, all right. All right, well, actually, we should probably just continue down here. Like, I must mention that this vehicle is a little bit higher off the ground than when I left it with you.
Very astute, good eye there. So it is a little higher off the ground. All of these things should have like a full disclosure. Ethan told me about this.
Yes.
The shocks are blown. All 4 shocks were completely blown. This thing floated like his Cadillac. So I took it upon myself to not only replace all the shocks with KYBs in the front, Bilsteins in the back, but I also bought the Journey off-road kit, which is, I think it's a 1.5, 2-inch lift. I'm not plugging them or anything, and also definitely follow Previa Legend on Instagram because he is the Previa Legend.
Yes.
He actually has a solution now where you don't need a lift kit, you just get Sienna parts and they actually bolt on. It's a little more fabrication, but yeah, I went with the lift because this was before he made the video about the Sienna parts. So the lift's great, and what's awesome is that it also comes with spacers for the diff, and so that basically there's nice alignment between components like the drive shafts.
So how hard was this to install?
Rear was really easy. Front, the struts are basically buried. The access to the strut towers, you have to literally go underneath the dash, which, sorry, that's not a great Previa design feature, but you're not meant to do this very often.
You're not going to be doing this very
Exactly,
frequently.
and there's plenty of tutorials and kits and instructions on how to do it. So fronts, definitely give yourself some time, and then rears, because you have to deal with a very, very heavy rear kind of section, just make sure you have a proper jack, you have very good jack stands. Thanks to this car, I've actually bought 6-ton jack stands.
Okay.
I've never had those before.
Yeah,
this thing
that's
weighs
good.
a lot.
Obviously, factory Toyota Previa wheels, but these tires are pretty beefy. What's going on here?
Preface by saying the wheels that you had on this car before were super popular. Every time I rolled up to whatever, Cars and Coffee, whatever, they were like, those are so cool, like the wheels are awesome.
I hated those.
I didn't hate them, but I certainly thought they were like period.
They were period.
Like, yeah, like they fit. I think they look like TSWs or something.
Yes.
Like, I love these kind of saw blade styles because they remind me of the Supra wheels back in the day in the 90s. So I found them at a junkyard, but here's something that definitely people should know. The center caps are so expensive.
Really?
Yes, and the reason why, and I have like, you can show a picture of all the other center caps. I've tried center caps from a Lexus, I've tried center caps from an Avalon, I've tried center caps from Sienna. Only Previa center caps fit. Maybe the Supra ones do, but I don't have like an extra $500 a hubcap. Everything else either goes too far in, doesn't secure, or can't clear the lugs.
Okay.
And that's like, I honestly, I was kind of upset with Toyota. I was like, why couldn't you just make the same center cap? Yeah, because it's the same width. By the way, don't be fooled. The diameter is the same. I was rolling without center caps for months. But tires are just, basic gravel generals. A lot of folks, especially I think on like magazines and Motor Trend or whatever, they actually said that thinner tires are better off-road because, you can air down the tire if you want more coverage, and then you can air it up and you can kind of cut through a lot more and not get stuck. I don't know if that's true or not, but honestly, I love the fact that I'm probably getting a little better mileage with the thinner tires than I would be if I went for something thicker.
Yeah.
These are 205/75/15s. So there you go. Just so you know, they fit with the lift kit.
Moving on to the back of this glorious machine, I noticed a few changes here. I actually noticed this wasn't there before. This wasn't there before.
Yes, this is not just a tow hitch, but it's also a 2-inch, which for anyone in the Previa community knows, The 2-inch is very, very rare in the sense that they've only really allocated it to supercharged later models.
Yes.
So basically you could only get a 2-inch from the dealer if you were like, I think, 97 for sure, but probably maybe like mid-year 96. So.
Okay, and wait a second. What are you towing with this? This has like 0 horsepower.
I'm towing my pride. So,
okay. I mean, you can put a bike rack on
yes,
this. Okay.
you're absolutely right. I am gonna have some of my mountain bikes back here.
Okay.
Yes, towing, especially when you don't have a supercharged model, the hill is gonna be your enemy. Okay, so the funny thing is, when you do go to 2-inch, what they don't tell you is that you have to replace the whole bumper.
What?
Because the supports, it actually goes inside where the bumper supports are.
Oh,
so as
wow.
opposed to a bolt-on 1 1/4, you literally have to take the entire bumper off. Since you have the entire bumper off, it's really fun to take the plastic shell off, sand it, paint it, and just basically beautify it. So this is the exact original bumper. Somebody actually asked me if this was JDM. I got this from like a surplus postal service company, like the car, the ones that they have on the USPS trucks or whatever.
Yeah.
I basically bought that for like 30 bucks new. So everyone thinks it's JDM. Very cool addition, especially when you're parking, because again, you see the distance between your bumper and whatever nice car you're about to bash. And then the spoiler, you know, why not? I found it at a junkyard. I was like, down for us.
Yeah, exactly. You need that.
Just go for it.
Maybe it would be good to take a look at the liftgate right here, because when I gave this vehicle to you, it didn't work. Cut to me using a broomstick to hold it open. And this thing weighs like 100 pounds.
At least.
Yeah.
So notice the action here.
Yeah.
These gas struts are pretty intense. I don't work out, so full disclosure, I'm gonna put one finger here and try to like, this is almost like,
almost your whole
yeah.
weight.
I don't know how anyone was able to close this if they were, like, let's say like a petite person. I have no idea how they close this.
Yeah. We got to talk about these curtains you got back here. These are pretty impressive. So those are JDM curtains.
They are JDM. This was from an Estima. The only thing that I haven't mastered yet is the curtain for the rear window, just because it does require more drilling into plasticky bits, and I just want to be extra careful. But installed these curtains recently. I'm very happy with them. These definitely do make the van more of like a living space. It's now a place where you can commune. Tint is great, but curtains are classy. May I welcome you into the egg home here? These are new. These are different.
What?
They're the Recaro style.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was like, wait, they look way better.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
So this is actually one thing that I will say was better in the earlier Previas. These are from a 91. People call them space capsule. I call them like faux Recaro kind of seats.
Yeah, those are cool.
They look so cool. And I know why they got rid of them, because these don't have adjustable headrest.
So in my video, you'll see there's like a huge gash. I don't know what happened, but somebody like completely smashed up the inside panel of the van.
To basically replace that gash that was there, I think it was probably from kids kicking the panel or something. You know what, I shouldn't be meat on kids, it could be adult. So I took it upon myself to replace it, and what I found was you have to take apart the entire, like that whole section has to be removed, which means you have to take out the seats just to get at it and make sure that you have a good fit. And also, if you don't bring your Previa to the junkyard, you won't be able to get your Previa sized panel from said junkyard. So I actually had to take a friend of mine's car and put it on the roof.
Oh my gosh.
And the top section was from the original panel. And I separated the two pieces because the one I got replaced was a different pattern.
It wasn't just the piece on the bottom, it was also that piece too. Oh my
so I had to separate the two, then re-glue it, and then I used tap screws, like the same screws you use on like drywall, and that way it actually is more secure than it's ever been. So that thing is never gonna be coming apart. And the first person that kicks that will be kicked out of this car.
Yes.
Because that was a very long process to get that fixed. I don't know if you guys noticed, but
oh, look at that. That's cool. That was not there. It's literally cool. That was not there before. Oh wait, did you fix the cup holder?
That is the most expensive piece
on
the Previa right now.
I've never seen a Previa with a cup holder that actually works. That's impressive. Moving on to the driver's side, you made some changes here too. I mean, I think there's a lot of good details here, so show me what you did over on the side.
I really went nuts with the whole egg thing. That is an early 90s, a 91 speedometer cluster, because it actually has a kind of egg-shaped spaceship pattern.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed the AT oil temp, the automatic transmission, whatever, oil temp, which is for all All-Trac vehicles.
Yeah.
you need to find not just the Speedo that has the egg shape, but also an All-Trac one.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge in and of itself because
How many junkyards did you have to go to find this? No, I mean, you spend a lot of time at junkyards, right?
I do. I find them to be museums. They're basically car shows where you can open the cars and just tear into them and understand how they're made. I think car shows are great, and you can learn a lot about what people have done to their car or how they preserve their car. A junkyard is basically a car show where you could take a tool to a car. And that's why I enjoy them, is because it's a zen moment. It's an amazing experience to really understand how cars are made. And also you can admire the beauty of them. There's a lot of cars at junkyards that just look great. And you can admire that. But yes, many junkyards is the answer. And then of course, tailoring that faceplate to the original Speedo because you want to keep the mileage the same and everything. That was a couple hours. Okay. So and then also getting the lights to work, because if I'm going to be tearing apart a speedometer cluster, I'm damn well going to change all the bulbs. So.
All right, so you've done some mechanical work to this vehicle as well, because it was actually running pretty well when I gave it to you. Yeah,
pretty well.
It was
well,
okay.
Yes. And the cloud of coolant.
Yeah, the cloud of coolant. That was the main thing, because I thought the head gasket was failing. I don't know if that's exactly what was going on, but you can tell us all about that.
Well, the magic trick at stoplights was awesome, because you basically just like poof and created a cloud of white smoke and disappeared.
When I had the car, I never experienced white smoke.
Really?
I never. Yeah, the whole time I drove it, I never got white smoke, but I would smell coolant. And I did tell you this, again.
Yes, full disclosure. You are absolutely correct in that Previas are notorious for having head gasket problems. And the reason for that is because of the way the engine sits in the car. It's a mid-engine car, and because the engine is also tilted at a very extreme, almost 9-degree angle, there is a lot of space for things to basically settle, and it's not a uniform settling. On this one, unfortunately, because of that angle and because of the way these were used and maybe abused and not maintained, and also mid-engine, so it's hard to get to, yes, head gasket problems are very common. And that's what we pretty much assumed was going on. Now, one thing that I learned through Previa ownership is that even though there's a common problem and everyone seems to jump to it, don't rule out the simple stuff. Like, for example, the fact that the overflow tank and the heater pipes were completely non-stock and cobbled together like rapidly with scissors, and they were leaking all the way down to the exhaust.
Okay.
So that was the majority of the coolant smell.
Okay, so that's good to know that it wasn't like some catastrophic head gasket failure.
Correct. Again, it's obviously important to not rule out the big ticket items, but start with the small stuff.
So what other work did you do to the engine to kind of like freshen things up?
I noticed about 2 weeks into the ownership of this Previa that I was having a lot of trouble going up hills, more so than normal. So inside the access panel here under the driver's seat, you will find, first of all, I replaced all the rubber hoses with silicone because it just looks cleaner. It's a particular thing I like to do because I'm an engineer and I like to just have everything color coded so I know exactly what I'm looking at, and it doesn't like scare me as much as if I just saw the same color. So I usually do yellow for the vacuum lines, blue for spark lines and electrical, and then red for coolant. So what happened was, and the reason it was bogging so much is because this area which is basically your butterfly valve for the intake and everything, it was completely clogged with sediment.
Correct.
Bad gas, who knows. I took apart the entire intake system and basically from the air filter to here, cleaned out the whole thing. The valve itself was stuck, like it was sticking. Okay. So I basically cleaned that out. It was an arduous process, but cleaned out the EGR valve, just again, because we here in California, our emissions are very important to us. We have to just make sure that the EGR system is well maintained, good for the environment, good for your car. And cleaned that out, completely flushed that as well, passed the smog with no problem. Also replace things like throttle position sensor, anything that you could still get new, I would say go ahead and replace on old cars like this, because it's beneficial. It gives it just kind of a new lease on life with new parts. So new lines, new distributor cap, new rotor, new plugs. Now, when you're doing engine repair on a Previa, you do have to remove both seats, because even though there is an access panel underneath the driver's seat, this is the money side, because the hump to the engine is actually underneath the passenger side. You have access to things like spark plugs, distributor. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do in terms of maintenance. This car is easy to work maintenance items on. It's when you have to deal with things like a head gasket or the timing chain that things become a bit of a problem. But again, if you follow Previa Legend or any of those tutorials online, you could actually find a lot of folks out there that have done this, and it'll kind of guide you through it.
Sure. So, can I drive it?
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, here's the problem though. I'm gonna drive it and then be like, can I buy this off of you? Oh, so it's all coming back to me now, this Previa. But again, I think out of all the work you've done with this vehicle, I'm most impressed that you fixed the cup holder.
Yeah.
Wow, and it actually is not sluggish anymore. And it's funny because you have the lift kit on here. You've got those bigger tires.
Yeah.
Mind if I just step on the gas a little bit?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's not fast, but it definitely
it goes.
The throttle response is way better. And I don't remember being this high because I wasn't this high before. I mean, I've been smoking a lot of drugs today. I am referring to the height off the ground. Now we're just driving around my neighborhood today, so we're not going to really experience any dirt unless we just want to go into our neighbor's dirt a little bit over here. We can just kind of pull over here for a second. So I mean, I don't know. This is great. So I think we'll need to do a video where we actually take this off road. It's all coming back to me now, the Previa experience and the fact that you have this vast expanse of glass in front of you.
It's the best. I hit 70 coming here, which is a big, momentous occasion.
I wasn't sure this vehicle could go that fast.
You know what? I was kind of floored. I was like,
and you also had it floored to be able to do that.
Absolutely. So. The dad pun goes round.
We'll just continue
those.
This is great. I love this vehicle.
Oh,
I should never.
Thank you. I love.
I should have sold it to you because you fixed it, but I kind of wish I'd kept it. All right, Serge, thank you so much for showing me this new and improved Previa. Is this ready to go off-road?
I mean, you saw it. We took neighborhood gravel, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Poison Spider Mesa is just the next logical conclusion.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Thanks so much for watching. We'll have a video with this vehicle soon where we're taking it off-road, and hopefully we don't break it.
And if we do, that's be another video.
Yeah, there you go.
We can fix it. Yeah, content for days.
Yes. All right, see you later.